War of the Rohirrim was released in theaters on December 12th or December 13th for Americans and started streaming on December 27th. This is because the War of the Rohirrim did not reach their goal at the box office, thus it underperformed. Despite its relatively modest production budget of $30 million, the film has barely managed to gross half of that amount worldwide. Due to this, Warner Bros. Decided to release the film on digital platforms 2 weeks after the theatrical debut. In the age of streaming services and increased prevalence of digital content, many are finding that it is easier to view and stream movies in their own homes. Many might also be waiting for it to be available in this way before watching, though there could also be other reasons why it did not live up to expectations. War of the Rohirrim had Helm's daughter, Hera, as the main character of the movie. The trailers mainly show her as the main character and protagonist. She would be the daughter of Helm, the ninth king of Rohan. In Tolkien's world, Helm had an unnamed daughter and 2 sons, Haleth and Hama, and so they went ahead and named the daughter Hera and created a story about her. The main character is described to be strong-willed, and the War of the Rohirrim was told by Eowyn and narrated by her. Meanwhile, many negative reviews have shown even before the movie was released. It is quite possible that it is due to the movie being released at different dates all over the world. It could be the fear of having Helm's unnamed daughter being the protagonist, as many were hoping that either Freylof or Helm himself would be the main character, and this could lead to them already deciding that the movie will be bad before viewing it despite the actual results. It could also be due to the resulting outcomes of the Rings of Power series. Also, it could just be because the character is originally unnamed in Tolkien, so fans might be worried since an unnamed character would mean they didn't do anything in the original source, and now they would wonder if this new story will be true to the source material and what they would add to the unnamed character since they're introducing new information. Additionally, War of the Rohirrim is an anime film, so that alone might not be for the fans who happen to not really be into anime. While it is an anime film, it seems to not have as much action as one might expect from one. However, this doesn't mean it can't be a good film, though it's possible that it was just not what people expected when they hear of an anime Lord of the Rings movie being released. And lastly, unlike Lord of the Rings, the War of the Rohirrim is set 183 years before the main events of the War of the Ring, the main setting in Lord of the Rings. War of the Rohirrim is based on the later parts of the House of Eowyn in the Lord of the Rings appendices. However, most of it concerns the family of Helm Hammerhand, the ninth king of the Mark, and would rule from 2691 to 2759. Towards the end of his reign, Rohan would suffer great loss and he would perish along with his sons, Haleth and Hama, while defending the doors. His sister's son, Freylof, would become king. The Rohirrim were defeated and their land was overrun, and those who were not slain or enslaved fled to the dales of the mountains. Helm was driven back with great loss from the crossings of Isen and took refuge in the Hornburg in the ravine behind, which was after known as Helm's Deep. There he was besieged. Wulf took Edoras and sat in Meduseld and called himself king. There Haleth, Helm's son, fell, last of all defending the doors. Helm is a grim man of great strength, and alongside him there was someone called Freka. 4 years later, in 2758 of the Third Age, there would be trouble in Rohan as the Rohirrim were defeated. Wulf would take Edoras and sit in Meduseld to call himself king. Shortly before this, Saruman came to Isengard, and the Dunlendings had been driven. Rohan would go through the long winter when there was a great hunger in Helm's Deep after Yule. His son Hama led the men on the sortie and foray, but they were lost in the snow. Helm would go out by himself, clad in white, and stalk like a snow troll into the camps of his enemies and slay many men with his hands. The Dunlendings said that if he could find no food, he ate men. That tale lasted long in Dunland. Helm had a great horn. The one night, men heard the horn, but he did not return. In the morning there came a sun gleam, the first for long days, and they saw a white figure standing still on the dike alone, for none of the Dunlendings dared come near. There stood Helm, dead as a stone, but his knees were unbent. It could be why WOTR the Rohirrim chose his unnamed daughter as the protagonist, because Helm would die partway through. However, in the books it was Freylof who slays Wolf shortly after the horn and become king after the Dunlendings were driven out, and Saruman would appear speaking of great praise to him. It could be hard to get many fans who would originally get their hands on Lord of the Rings, and one would have to be very into Middle-earth in the first place to show interest in it. This could be because at the time of Tolkien's passing, he had only published The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. The latter was considered to be his magnum opus, his most important piece. The rest of the works were posthumously published, and the main characters in the War of the Rohirrim were not mentioned in The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, though they were mentioned in the appendices. Fans might just not view it as important as the events occurring during the War of the Ring, or the characters who were also active during that time. However, it is also possible that the movie will lead fans to become interested in other Tolkien books. While The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings seem to be written in a novel form, the Silmarillion and the other works in which the earlier events took place were written in more of an encyclopedia form, which is what I got. Some say it's written similar to the Bible or a religious work, which I could also see, since the Silmarillion does talk about the belief systems in Middle-earth. But regardless of its true form, there's no denying that it is definitely a different form than what many readers are used to, even if they truly enjoyed The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Even though many find out about them from the movies, it could also be spread by word of mouth, and there could be more coming from that. Thus, it's not that the War of the Rohirrim did not show itself as a film for fans of Middle-earth and Lord of the Rings. It seems to cater to a specific type of fan, as one must be interested in something in that time period. Thus, while many fans worry about it not meeting their expectation, there could also be many that may not even be looking for an adaptation such as this one. There's no denying that there would at least be some interest, but it just wouldn't be received as much as, say, the Lord of the Rings trilogy.